everyone, and welcome back to another Pokemon Binder video. Last time around I started off by going through my childhood card collection, categorizing everything, putting it into my spreadsheet, and then figuring out where it goes in my binder. This time around I'm going to start off by scoping out my local card shops in my home city and seeing what they have to offer. Will it be a flop or will I find the good shop? So just for a recap, here are the numbers we're looking at in the spreadsheet, and Kanto is tantalizingly about halfway done, but I'm not really sure what my strategy is going to be once I enter the card store. You know, I'm assuming they're going to have commons that I can flip through in a binder themselves and holos on display a bit more pricey, but I'm not really sure what to prioritize when, so it'll be interesting to see what they have to offer. Maybe I'll hold off on buying some cards and come back another time. Now, I live in a place called Eindhoven, which is fairly large for the Netherlands, and a simple search for Pokemon shows me these two chain stores which don't really sell cards, they're just more toy shops, so of course they might sell sealed products, but that's not really what I'm looking for. Here's the two interesting ones. Ippo is a comic book store, but they certainly sell Pokemon cards. It's even in the thumbnail. And Game Force, all the way down here, is actually a store that specializes in trading cards. So I'll be excited to check out both of these places and see what they have to offer. So without further ado, let's get going. Damn! So, a little post commentary here on my excursion. I may or may not have gotten a little distracted by a music store opposite one of the card shops. This one in particular had a lot of really nice new CDs, but only a couple of things in the second-hand section which caught my eye. But I still picked up a few things. I'm really big into collecting CDs, but not really vinyl so much. So here's the first card store, Game Force, and you'll have to forgive me a little here because I'm not used to this whole YouTube thing and I wasn't quite comfortable recording in public like this, so I didn't get too much footage of the binders here, but they had two Pokemon binders full of cards that were 50 cents each, lots of old commons and some new holos, and then a display full of nicer holos which were mostly too expensive for today. I think the range in there was 20 euros up to $1,000, so yeah. I did pick up a few commons here, but this store was mainly magic focused. Like, they had two Pokemon binders, but like 10 magic binders. They did have a lot of really lovely plushies though, so I'll doubtless be coming back. On to Eppo now, and this store was amazing for Pokemon cards. They had a lot of different binders categorized in different ways, like Pokemon by type or by year of release, and they had a whole row of Pokemon binders here, which was really cool because this store focuses on comic book and manga mostly, and there were so many binders that I only had time to go through a few of them. Most of the older commons here were 50 cents up to a couple of euros each, depending on the condition and the rarity and so lots of great finds in here. Honestly, I'm so lucky to have these two stores in my home city, and I can't wait to come back. The people working here and at the Game Force were really awesome, and Game Force has some locals sometimes, so if they're playing a game I like, I might have to consider joining that. But yeah, lots of great common pickups in this binder. I'll go through them all back home for you to see, and I'll put them in my own binder. I got the bag. Alright folks, I'm back and I've roughly put these cards into Pokedex order so that I can put them into my spreadsheet earlier. There's some really nice pickups, but there's something I want to talk about with regards to local card stores once I've gone through them all. And you'll see how much I paid for these as I'm going through them. At the front, while I did put them in roughly Pokedex order, I did order them by which store I got them from. So these ones are from the Game Force and these ones are from the Eppo. So we're starting off with a Spearow, and a lot of these cards are really nice to pick up because they sort of fill out evolution lines that I didn't have the whole thing filled out from. I really like the Spearow artwork as well, and I looked up what the Jungle Pharaoh was, and it's an uncommon, which means I'll be able to get it for cheap eventually. And it happens to be my favorite Pharaoh, so good pickup. I got the Sandshrew I wanted. I was saying that I didn't really like the Sandshrew that I had, so I'm glad to pick up a base set copy. A really nice Venomoth. I had the Venonat, so it's nice to round that one out. I can't remember if I had the Jungle Venonat or the base set Venonat, but either way it'll go nice. Executes, just a random pickup, you know, gotta have it. Jungle is nice. Goldeen, I'm pretty sure I had the Sea King to go with this one, so that's a filled out evolution line. This is a newer card, but I really like the artwork because it's an old Ken Sugimori artwork, the watercolor, and I'm always down for that. It doesn't really matter what the Fampi looks like, you know. I'm gonna take this copy. This is just a really nice artwork, and it's reverse, which is cool. Same thing goes for the Torkoal. You know, it's a new copy, but it looks pretty nice. It has the Ken Sugimori artwork. And this Drillbur, oh my god, it's so cute! And it's reverse, which is nice. Of course, yeah, this is a modern card, but black and white is a modern game to me, so... Oh, but is this not the cutest Drillbur you've ever seen? Oh my god. And then we get into the Eppo cards, and yeah. So every card in that binder was 50 cents, and the same goes for these. And it's kind of occurring to me that I anticipated this to be a budget series, and indeed, these are budget cards that I'm purchasing. It's unlimited, you know, the condition is poor, but you look on Card Market for similar cards from this era, and they're like 10 cents max. So definitely there's like a tax that I end up paying, technically, if you want to call it that, by going to local card shops and supporting them. But can you really call it budget anymore? I'm not really sure. So maybe I'll have to rethink in some ways how I approach this challenge. Of course, I'm an adult. Like I'm not doing a budget challenge because I'm broke, but you know, it's hard to get Pokemon cards, so yeah, I just wanted to see how viable it was and what is available in my country, in my area, because a lot of people, not everyone is from New York City and can get crazy Pokemon cards. You know, growing up, I used to hear about the Pokemon Center New York, and I always wanted to go there, but, you know, I live in Europe, and nobody really likes Europeans when they're localizing card games like Pokemon. But I'm happy to pick up this copy of Bulbasaur. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to find old copies of the starters, or they'd be super expensive, and this copy is really banged up, but I would almost call it damaged, but I'm reserving damage for like visible creases, and this is just corner wear. I got my base set Charmander Charmeleon, and this kind of poses a question: am I going to end up getting a base set Charizard? Now there are other options. There's base set 2, there's XY evolutions, which might look fine in the case, you know, I can always downgrade the condition to go with these cards. Like, I would rather have a poor condition Charizard that goes with these two than have a really good condition Charizard that doesn't match. I don't really care about Charizard. It's not one of my favorite Pokemon. I think it's a little overhyped, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, so this is what I sort of was going through these cards, and I kind of snapped for a second. I was like, I really spent 50 cents on a base set 2 Weedle. Yeah, not the greatest financial decision of my life. But the Weedle and the Kakuna, I do really like the Kakuna artwork, by the way, in base set. It's like subtly 3D. But this rounds out my evolution line for Weedle, so that's nice. Pidgey, gotta have it. I think this is a Dutch copy, and I think is it base set? The price is kind of covering it. What I might do, these stickers are annoying, I might just flip the card the other way. Yeah, it's base set. Not Jungle or Fossil. I don't even know if it's in Jungle or Fossil, but we got a Rocket Ekans. I thought they called these cards Dark Ekans or Rockets Ekans or Team Rockets Ekans. Hopefully I find an Arbok to go with it. I'm really happy to get these 4 actually. So the Nidoran and the Nidorino, they're both base set, and they round out my evolution line. I have a Holo Nidoking, which is one of my favorite cards in my collection from when I was a kid. Nidoran, Nidorino, I should be able to find a Jungle Nidoqueen not too bad, I hope. Yeah, the thing about the local card shops is They obviously are gonna make money on these commons in the binders, and the advantage that you get is that you can actually flick through and see what cards you're getting. A fossil Zubat and a fossil Golbat, so I've completed this evolution line. That's really nice to pick up, and the artwork is beautiful in this Golbat and this Zubat. The background is mesmerizing. I really like the Zubat especially. Oh no, I love them both because this night sky really pops, I think. I'm not sure if there's a holo version of the Golbat, and that's the one thing about this challenge is that it can go on forever. I could pick up a common version and then pick up a holo later. This was actually €1, but it doesn't really matter. I'll pay that much to run on the evolution line and not have to think about it anymore. Audition Gloom, only missing the Vileplume. I'm assuming that's a holo in waiting. Oh my god, the low poly, or I guess it's not low poly, it's just like weird 3D. It's like kind of like the Porygon or the Ditto. That's a really cute art style. I love it. They stopped doing those, I feel like. Parasect, I'm pretty sure I have a Paras, so that rounds out that out. This is like a later printing, but I thought the artwork was really nice. A Jungle Meowth, really cute. I love this artwork. Super nice. Kadabra, I have an Abra, so I just need the Alakazam. Ponyta, I don't have a Rapidash, but we'll get there. This Magnemite artwork was really sweet. I just think it's kind of unique. Fossil Grimer, I mean, no one's favorite Pokemon is Grimer, but I'm gonna have it. Marowak, I have a nice Cubone, I think, so that goes nicely. Lickitung, really nice Coughing. I don't have a Wheezing, but very cool artwork. I remember having like Pokemon books when I was a kid, and they had like Pokemon card guides, and I always liked this artwork in that book. I got another complete evolution set here. I think I already had the Rhyhorn though, so that was kind of a mistake. I should have checked my spreadsheet, but whatever. I have the double set, I guess if you count Rhyperior, I don't know, but I have the both in jungle. Seadra, I'm not sure if I have a Horsey, I'll have to check. So the Eevee, I found the Dream Eevee. This is the prettiest artwork ever, and I paid €3 for it, but I'll do that any day. Wow. I'm never getting another Eevee. You know, Eevee is one of those really popular cards. The cards can go really high, probably. I'm anticipating, like, there's probably some crazy holo version of Eevee that costs €1,000, but this is my Eevee, and I love it. Nice Gen 2 Girafarig and a Gligar. I have a Gliscor, so that's completed, I guess. Really cute artwork on this Shuckle. Underrated Pokemon. Very nice. And we have a Slugma. Not really much to say about Slugma. Who remembers that this guy is even Gen 2? But yeah. Now, what I'll do is I'll put them in the spreadsheet and see how that changes our numbers. I expect a lot more in Kanto. So see you there. Oh, and quickly before I go through the spreadsheets and putting the cards into the binder, I'll show you what albums I got if anyone is interested in that, because I did get distracted by a record store. We got Peak Girly Pop Spice Girls. We got Cocteau Twins.
The Cocteau Twins!
And this is No Hands by Joey Valance and Bray. And this is definitely one of my favorite albums of 2024. If you're into white boy hip hop, give it a listen, I guess. It's kind of Beastie Boys, Zoomer Beastie Boys, I guess you could call it. And now with those additions to the collection, the Kanto total is up to 88. And the others have gone up by just 1. Now, I am going to quickly go through the binder again because there are some things I noticed and some things I should take into consideration the next time I am shopping for cards. Now, I did get a lot of cards that I already had a worse copy of. Now, there was only one instance where I got a card that I literally already had. Overall, I'm thinking it's looking a lot better. So we got some newly filled out evolution lines here, like the Weedle line. I did have a Pidgeotto after all, so that's looking good. And I don't really mind that copy of Pidgeotto at all, to be honest, but okay, I'll still take a look for a vintage copy. Of course, I swapped out the Sandshrew. This page is looking beautiful. It's almost ready, you know, just need the Nidoqueen, and the Clefable is a gimme at some point. This was a huge upgrade to the Venomoth copy. Oh my god, that old Venomoth, I did have one already, so I'm kind of kicking myself that I bought another one until I saw the old one. And I was like, wow, that's hideous. And here we are, a complete page. Look at that. And I did have an Alakazam after all, and it's a holo Alakazam. How could I forget? So yeah, when I was doing my commentary earlier, I failed to consider that I already had the Alakazam, and this is a perfect evolution. This is just beautiful to me. What else do we have? Oh, I forgot to flip that one to the other side of the sleeve. Yeah, overall, Gen 1 is starting to look pretty filled out, and I'm pretty happy with the progress. The Eevee is just wonderful, and yeah, I'm not too concerned about, you know, the progress, but I would like to start getting more holos. Oh, that Gligar is really nice, by the way. I'm happy that I've got that and Gliscor. It kind of sucks that they're not next to each other, but they wouldn't be anyway because this is on the end of a page, so I'll live. And yeah, that Donphan looks pretty nice as well, next to the Smeargle too. Not too shabby. Also, as a final point before I end this video, adding new cards to the binder and swapping cards out means that the trades have changed. So I'll just go over the cards which are now available for trade as a result of some swaps that I've made, just quickly. Some of these cards are actually nice. I didn't realize I had a Ponyta. The Meowth is not too bad. This is the hideous Venomoth I was talking about. I really am not a fan of that card. The Gloom was really pretty, but I had a matching Oddish, so I had to swap it out. I have a lot of Nidoran, Nidorino cards. I think I got a starter deck in like 2010 at some point. And this is actually a nice Sandshrew, but I had to get the old one. And the Spearow is a reverse, and I do like the way the colorless reverse looks. So if anyone wants to trade, you can leave a comment. We'll see if we can sort something out. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Maybe I'll go out onto the field, a bit further afar than my home city. So yeah, bye-bye.